Hey, so I wanted to test a new video series where we take a look at iconic sets and kind of do a full breakdown, go over key cards in the set, value of the set, etc. This is going to be the first video on the non-sport side of things, which is honestly one of my favorite sets, and I think it's a favorite set of a lot of other people too, the Duke N76s. A lot of people jumping into the pre-war non-sport side of things have gravitated towards the set. It's still somewhat affordable and has a ton of historical figure names in it. So we'll cover all of that in this video, as well as some variations. So that way you understand how the set works at the end of this video. Also, if you like this PowerPoint format, please let me know. I may switch the top 30 eBay sales into a format like this. Personally, I think it's a better way for teaching and education purposes. But if you prefer me just going over eBay live like I do right now, let me know as well. Okay, so first thing on the set side of things, what does the Duke N76 set feature? Well, it's really a historical figure set. You're going to find politicians, you're going to find inventors, you're going to find writers, etc., right? And the biggest names in the set, when I think of the N76 set, you have like your Lincoln and your Washington, you have your Franklin, you have Edison, you have Edgar Allan Poe, you have Mark Twain / Samuel Clemens, right? And a lot of people consider this one of the greatest non-sport sets of all time. The full set has 50 cards. There's one that has a variation, so technically you could say 51. And they're normal tobacco size. If I was going to give a baseball equivalent for those getting into non-sport side of things, I would think that these are kind of like the Goodwin champs. Based off of the design, the pop reports, and also the collectability. Like a lot of people, as I mentioned, this is one of their favorite sets because they look awesome in person. All right, so variations wise, this was the one variant I was talking about. It's Beecher. So both the PSA and SGC pop report have one graded on this left looking version over here. The normal one is here on the right, but I didn't validate that every single card that was graded normally as a Beecher was right looking. And the problem is when you start grading a set, you are going to have newer cards come in and you're not going to catch every variation right out of the gate. So there probably is more left looking Beechers in the pop report. It just masked under the normal name. So I do expect the left variant to add more in the future. All right, so full set pricing. If you're looking at commons like low grade, if you have kind of like paper loss on the back, you're probably looking a little bit under $25. But if you're looking in normal about one-ish grade, they usually go for about $25 to $50. Bigger names, they're starting now at around $200 to $500. Obviously, they can balloon up really, really fast. I just saw someone post a N76 Washington with paper loss on the front for $700. So these prices are changing quite a bit, especially over the last few years. If I was to value kind of like a low to mid-grade set, a lot of the value is going to be in the bigger names, obviously, but I'd give it a ballpark range of anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Some of the common things you're going to see: paper loss in the back, cards with a missing border on one side. The missing border on one side is actually a factory cut, not specifically trimmed, and the grading companies are very inconsistent on how they grade those cards. Sometimes you'll get a numerical grade, sometimes they'll say it's min size or just give it authentic. Now, you will come across some that have blank backs. So first off, most of these are going to be sheet cut. They're not actually N76 cards, so don't fall for those. So a lot of the people on eBay will say, this is an N76 card. No, they're not. The other thing that you will see are ones that are missing the back, and it is a skinned version, right? So just kind of have that in mind when you're trying to buy these cards. Now, I wanted to go over a full set that has sold somewhat recently. The problem is the non-sports market has evolved quite a bit since 2022. But this was the most recent comp that I saw for a full set. There could have been others, but this is what I saw recently. Now, this was an ungraded set, and it sold slightly under $4,000. And I can tell you that Lincoln in the set, Edison, Washington have at least doubled since there. So that's why I kind of gave that $5,000 to $10,000 range. Although this one looks pretty nice overall. It says down here, this complete set of 50 are generally in very good to X condition. 7 to 8 have some back issues, including writing, staining, or light paper loss, which I should mention. Some of these you will find that people have written on the back to mark up the checklist, and staining is very common. So I apologize for not putting that a little bit earlier in the video. All right, so what does the pop report look like right now? Well, the SGC pop report has 235 graded. The majority of these are going to be on the PSA pop report, where you have 1,000. The total pop between both companies are 1235, where the average pop per card is about 25-ish. The highest PSA graded is an 8. The highest SGC graded is a 7. There's 2 8s, and then there's 31 7s between both of these. Now, the pop report doesn't tell the full story, because with the non-sports, there's still a ton that aren't graded. I would think that there's anywhere from 10 to 25 cards that are still out there for each figure that aren't graded. Maybe for like the Lincolns and Washingtons and Edisons, there's less. But again, this is my opinion based being around in the non-sports side of things. And new collections are found all the time. I mean, heck, people are still finding some of the best baseball cards of all time. So you just don't know what gets uncovered. So top PSA sets, this is kind of all-time finest. So I don't know if some of these still exist or not. At the very top, you have a weighted GPA of a 6. You have another one over here, Bongo, almost at a 6. Then it goes down quite a bit, right? You see 5.49, 4.85, 4.86, 4.5, and then it drops all the way to 3.3 if you want to get into the PSA registry side of things. Personally, I am not building the full set. I just want to get individual subjects. But for those who are trying to chase a top set, this is the competition you are looking at right now. Now, one thing I do want to mention, and I'm not going to mention in every video, but is a lot of inconsistent grading on the N76s because some of these were graded such a long time ago. So over here on the left, we have a 5 of this Abraham Lincoln, and it has some horrible staining here on the top left. If you sent that in today, you are not getting a 5. The middle one is a recently graded N76 of Abraham Lincoln. First off, you see the top left, that's been completely trimmed off. Right? It should be authentic from there alone, but the grader messed up twice because the back of the card is completely gone. It's skinned, and somehow this got a 1.5, and it's still in the pop report. I've complained about this card. No action has ever been taken. So if you know anyone at PSA, please let them know they should decertify this, or they should label this as authentic, because it's skinned, which automatically gets the authentic grade. Now you don't get 1s for skin, and it's also trimmed at the top left. And then I also wanted to show Edgar Allan Poe. This has a 2, but has a crease right through the face, which if you're sending in an N76 today with the crease in the face, you are not getting a 2, especially with how prevalent that is right over there. And look at that top left corner, it is pretty damaged. That would be probably a 1 or 1.5 today. So what I try to tell people is a lot of the prices on N76 is based off the eye appeal. Sometimes there's 2s that look really, really nice, that are nicer than some of the older 3s or 4s, and people will pay up for those. So take comps into consideration, but really focus on the eye appeal of the card. Again, these are beautiful cards, and sometimes you'll have lower graded examples outsell higher graded ones, unless you're going after that PSA registry, which I don't know. It's an issue in my mind itself. People just chasing labels and specific grades. I think you should chase the nicest cards possible, but I'm not going to go in that in this video. All right, another call out too. So some people might be familiar with the N112 set. You have essentially 3 N76 cards together. This is actually one of my favorites in the set. You have Edison, you have Franklin, and you have Morse. I'm going to feature all 3 of these guys in this video because I think you have to when you talk about the history of technology. But regardless, right, N112s are much tougher to find than N76s. So the pop, right, you have only 57 at PSA, 19 at SGC, and there's, I believe, 16 different combos that you could get, or at least that's what I was seeing on the pop reports. Maybe there's others that are out there. And then you can see all the different names of the great Americans right over here. And I'm curious who the 2 are that aren't on any specific triples. So if you do know, please let me know. I'm actually pretty curious on that side of things, right? Because full set's 50, 16 times 3 is 48. So 2 people were left off. The backs are also pretty awesome on these triples. I have a few triples and they sell really, really good. I found out from a private sale that there was the one with Lincoln and Grant. I forget who the third person is. Maybe it's Garfield on there, that sold for $3,000 recently. And then the triple with Washington, Hamilton, and Hancock sold for $2,000 at auction, and it ended up grading A2. So much more pricier than the N76s if you see these, and way tougher to find. All right, And another call out over here, if you guys want to join my non-sports Facebook group, I'm going to put a link down below in the description and the comment section. You guys can network with other non-sports collectors, and we have a very active group between buying, selling, and asking questions. So make sure to join that down below. Awesome. So we're going to start off with John Adams. He's our second president of the United States, considered a founding father. The total pop between SGC and PSA is 30 cards. The highest graded right now is a 6. And some recent sales you're taking a look at with the SGC4 selling for $560. This copy over here to the left. And then a PSA2 selling for $360. Up next, you're taking a look at Samuel Clemens, also known as Mark Twain. Some of his famous books, Tom Sawyer, which, no offense to the book, I'm always a huge Rush fan. So when I first hear of Tom Sawyer, I think of the Rush song. And then you also have Huckleberry Finn. Now, the SGC PSA pop is 25, with the highest currently being a 7. Luckily enough, I was able to pick up a 6 a few years ago, and I paid essentially what that SGC 3 is going for now. But regardless, right, you have an SGC 3 that sells for $700 recently, but you also had an SGC 6 to sell for $800. Maybe that 3 was an overpay, or someone got a really good deal on that 6. Up next, you have Thomas Edison. I'd easily consider him one of the top 3 to 5 in the set. Obviously, he's a famous businessman and also inventor, although he's more famous on the business side of things because he had a bunch of engineers working underneath him. There's a lot of arguments on technically what he invented or not, but regardless, he had a rivalry with Tesla. Some of his inventions include light bulb and the phonograph. And he has 30 of these graded. The highest is a 7 out there. An SGC4, which is this copy over here. I don't think this gets a 4 today. I think this gets a 2.5. But regardless, that 4 copy sold for $14.24. And then there was another SGC2, which I personally like nicer than this copy over here, that sold for $953. And then you have Benjamin Franklin, founding father, $100 bill, and famous inventor. You have the kite with the lightning in the background over here. Now, this is a copy that kind of has like a snow white effect on the front, so it's not as nice as some of the other N76s. This copy itself still sold for $630. Pretty nice corners, but centering is also kind of lacking top to bottom. And then there was a PSA2 that also recently sold for $650. U.S. Grant, famous Union general, part of the Civil War, 18th president. There was actually quite a lot of these graded. There was 38 compared to some of the pops of other stuff, which kind of surprised me. Highest graded was a PSA 6. A 5 recently did 540, with a 2 doing 358. I think, I can't remember, I still have a 1 for sale. It's probably around $300 or $350. It looks really nice, but there's a little bit of paper loss on the back. So if anyone's looking for an N76 Grant, don't know 100%, but I may have a copy for sale for you. Also, depending when you watch this video. All right, Alexander Hamilton, founding father, first Secretary of Treasury, $10 bill. There's also a famous play associated with Hamilton. I don't follow that type of stuff, so I just know the Hamilton name from the play. Anyways, total pop 33, highest graded is a 6. A 4 just sold for $720, with an authentic selling for $252. John Hancock. I apologize for the bad picture on this one. This is the only recent one that has sold, which was $260, but most people know for his famous signature Declaration of Independence. There's a 30 total grade between SGC and PSA, with the highest graded being a PSA 6. Andrew Jackson, 7th president. People know him also from the War of 1812. $20 bill, total pop 27. Highest graded is a PSA 7. In some recent sales, you're taking a look at $436 as well as $368. One other thing he's known for, I believe, is the Trail of Tears, which is kind of one of the dark points in U.S. history. Thomas Jefferson, 3rd president, Declaration of Independence, $2 bill. SGC PSA pop is 31. Highest graded is a 7. And a PSA 6. The same card actually sold twice, one at an auction and then one on eBay. This most recent sale on eBay sold for $2,175. Abraham Lincoln, Civil War, 16th president, total graded about 44, which I think might be the highest out of all the N76s. The highest graded itself was a PSA 6. These are expensive, right? If you look in that 3 to 4 range, you're going to be paying around $2,000. A few years ago, you were able to pick up a 4 under $1,000. I know because I have a PSA 4 in my collection and I paid under $1,000. I think I paid like $950 at the time. Samuel Morse code, and also the telegraph. SGC PSA pop 25. Highest graded is a 7. A 6 recently sold for close to $500, and a 4 a little bit over 100, which I still think Morse is kind of a bargain for how much of impact he had, and considered some of the pricing on Morse compared to other historical figures in the set. And then you have Edgar Allan Poe, famous poet. A lot of people in horror, whether like Halloween or heavy metal, take inspiration into Edgar Allan Poe. Regardless, the pop is kind of low at 25. The highest graded is a PSA 5. And the most recent sale in the actually last 3 years, there wasn't one that sold since I think 2020 or 2021, was $1,470. Now there's a lot that sold privately, and I can tell you that they're selling anywhere from like $400 to $600 depending on the shape, but no one really predicted this $1,400 sale when that happened. George Washington, first president, Revolutionary War, total pop is 30, highest graded is a PSA 7. In some recent sales, there's an SGC 1, mind you, sold for $725, and SGC 2.5 sold for $2,400. Washington and Lincoln are your 1 and 2 in the set, no doubt with that. So I wanted to go over a few honorable mentions. If you guys do like this honorable mention side of things, please let me know. I will add it to other videos. But I wanted to add in Robert Fulton, famous for the steamboat and helped develop a lot of cities on the Mississippi River. James Garfield, 20th president and Civil War general. Nathaniel Hawthorne, I know the band Hawthorne Heights, but also a famous writer. Then you have Francis Scott Key, Star Spangled Banner. Henry Longfellow, famous poet. No idea why that's bold, but a little bit of error on my side. All right, and then video contributions. Look, I want to continue to build out these videos, not only on the non-sports side of things, but other sports, alternative sports, and things like that. So if you are interested in helping like build out these PowerPoints, let me know. Shoot me a message on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or email. I will give you credits on the video for that side of things, because look, I don't know all the different variations. I don't know all the sets. I'm here learning with you guys as well. Although I did know the Duke N76 pretty well, minus that one Beecher variation when I was doing some research. So also really quickly wanted to give a thank you to the following channel members. We have a channel membership here. I think it's like $2.99 a month. So if you want to help contribute to the channel, please do so. And I will give you a shout out here at the very end. But Paul, Giles, Alaska Picker, and also Aaron Herbert. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video and you found this pretty valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I will also have an article based around this video here on my website. We have a lot of exciting projects happening soon with Breakout, and I will see you soon.